Yo, that gave me goosebumps.
What is
That's
up,
so cool.
everyone? Welcome back to Smoke and Meteoras, the podcast where we talk about the moments that matter and the struggles the talents face on the rise. I am your host, Marissa, and this week I am joined by none other than Sean Leiter. Welcome in, Sean. Thank you for joining, man.
Hell yeah.
How
This is
you doing
exciting.
today, bro?
I'm good. A little anxiety ridden, as always, with these things. Just kind of getting used
It's
to
all
it.
good. It's all
It's fun.
good.
It's a lot of fun. I'm just excited.
So I start every episode off with the same question. And that question is, what is the dumbest thing that you have done for wrestling?
Oh, wow. I am wildly unprepared for this question. Oh, dumbest thing. Um, I've done a lot of dumb things. Barbed wire ladders was pretty dumb. That was a dumb thing. I've done. Oh, you know what? One time I did a dive spot at some off-brand show. I don't remember what it was. They only ran like once or twice. Somewhere in Central Mass, and I did this dive, and I took a euro in the middle of it because I've done that spot before with Tom, but this time the mat that was on the ground, it wasn't a mat. It was like this like hard plastic deal, and I landed on my hip, and I couldn't walk right for like, I don't know, a week and a half.
Oh
That was probably
no.
one of the dumbest things. Um, I went through an entire ladder match at Proving Ground after what is probably a dislocated shoulder. I really don't know, which is probably just like another dumb thing that I've done in wrestling, is just not gotten things checked out whenever I hurt myself and just let it play out the way it did. Because I overshot an enziguri kick, and I landed on my shoulder funny, and you can see it. I struggled through that match, but then after that, it was like 3 weeks of just like trying to bend my arm back to where it could go until eventually I gained like motion, but now it hurts whenever it rains.
Yeah, we all
So
got those
I
aches and
probably
pains.
messed something up. Yeah, I got a lot of those. One time I rolled my ankle before a match, and I just walked it off, and then I went through the whole match, and then when I went to go take my shoe off, my ankle was all swollen. Probably shouldn't have did that. See, I don't know, because I feel like I'm still kind of like in this like midlife crisis thing that I'm doing, where I just kind of see something that I really like, and I'll practice it until I get it. And I do a lot of dumb stuff in that. I guess
Well, it
I don't know
seems
how
like
to
all of
explain
the
it. There's
moments that
like,
are seems like all the moments that are coming to mind for you are moments where you ended up injuring yourself or wrestled after injuring
yeah,
yourself.
yeah, most pretty much for the most part is like I always just regretted hurting myself or doing things a certain way when I could have done it a lot safer and saved my body in the process.
Do you feel in those
I
moments
think
you were trying
I
to
learned the
prove
hard
you're
way.
something? Yeah. Do you feel like in those moments you were trying to prove something or prove yourself or just make a name for yourself?
I really don't know. I just like, it's kind of that the show must go on thing in me, and I fight through whatever it is to get to the end. And if something needs to be changed because I know I physically can't do it, then that's different. I would much rather finish the match out than have it cut short. especially if I know that I can physically get through the rest of whatever I'm doing. If I can't, I would tell somebody in advance. But
So
that's
let's go
kind of
back
just
to
like
the
protocol, I guess. That's like what
yeah.
anybody would do or should do.
So let's go back to the very, very beginning before you ever stepped foot into a ring. What's your first real emotional
Oh, this
connection
is
to wrestling?
wow. I guess the first time I ever saw wrestling on television, I was at my grandfather's house when I was younger. Um, it didn't really stick at the time, but then a couple of years down the line, I just thought, well, I kind of like this. I'm gonna start watching a little more, and then I realized that like I got some friends at school that also like it, and it just kind of became like an introduction to wrestling for me when I was young. And my first emotional reaction I can remember was probably WrestleMania 12 with Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart in the Iron Man match. Because the way they built up the story for Shawn, him not ever having the world title before, and just the packages, the video packages they came up with them training and like all that stuff with Jose Lothario and everything. That I love that storyline. It felt like just like any of those like feel good underdog stories that you just love to see. Like most Disney sports films. But
Pretty
I
much.
always I always loved that cinema of wrestling, and that was the first time I had ever experienced something happening in wrestling that actually made me cry because I was that happy for everything that was happening. It was like that last puzzle piece, so that last Tetris block that just fits right in, and that was a good exclamation point to the end of that story. I thought that was cool.
So, going back to the whole Shawn Michaels story and the storytelling, do you believe that was what fully pulled you in, or was it more like the energy, or just something more personal to you?
I don't know. These are really good questions. Um, I love the energy of it. I love the excitement, the drama, everything. It felt like a total package of like something you would want to see out of like any movie or television series. I felt like that was like the end of the season, I guess. Even though like yeah, it's WrestleMania, that's usually when they end a lot of storylines and stuff anyways and begin new ones. Um but yeah, I don't know. There's just something about that moment. I was so invested already in Shawn Michaels, just just because of like how he was, how he acted, how crisp everything that he did was. And that was one of the things that really drew me in to wrestling and really made me want to eventually start doing something with wrestling. And it's not I can't say it's just that because it's like a culmination of so many moments in wrestling. That was probably just the first time that I can remember, excuse me, any one moment really kind of making something feel way more than it was.
So, what did you always picture yourself doing this, or was it something that grew within you over time?
Okay, so like I was just talking to my dad upstairs about this before we started because when I was a kid, I would have the wrestling buddies and stuff like that. And I would wrestle them in my bedroom and whatnot. Eventually, my dad took me to a flea market. We would go every Sunday, and I had picked up this. It was like a stuffed animal, but it was a stuffed monkey, and it was like the same size as me. So I would like wrestle it in my backyard and set up chairs as like turnbuckles. And I would watch television and I would learn everything, like down to like the submissions and like the technical stuff, and I would be doing it to this stuffed animal in my backyard. And then eventually I found other people that like to do it, and I would learn through them. And eventually I got training and whatnot. And I feel like I trailed off on the story from the original question, and I can't remember where we're at.
Did you always picture yourself wrestling, or was it something that grew over time?
It was definitely something that I always pictured that I would be a part of, or at least be a fan of. Um, Being a part of it and being just any of the places that I've been or wrestled, any of the people that I have or been in the locker room with, is like, like 12-year-old me would think I'm the coolest dude ever. And it's just like I think back at some of these moments, and they all just kind of inspire me to try and do more in wrestling. Like, I have so many ideas and so many projects that I'm like just kind of secretly working on, that I'm ready to do once I have like the funding and a fully fleshed out product. But it's
So looking, go ahead.
definitely, I'm sorry, it's definitely just always been something that I knew I wanted to be somewhat a part of in any way, doing anything, just because I love the atmosphere. I love the feeling of being in a room that you're about to watch wrestling, and it's like the coolest thing for me. And one of my like only escapes from like work life and stuff.
So looking back, what did wrestling represent for you at that time?
Wrestling is still like everything to me in general. Um, when I get out of work, I watch wrestling. I watch all the clips on my Twitter feed. I just when I'm doom scrolling, scrolling like all the highlights of all the shows that happened this weekend, uh, and stuff like that. And I'm usually retweeting a lot of those moments too, just because they're fun. I love the stuff with Danhausen right now. It's probably some of my favorite stuff. It really makes me laugh.
So what made you take the leap into deciding to start training?
Ooh, um, that came just kind of with when all right, so I met this oh, man, I'm going back now. All right, so when I was like 15, 16 in like junior high school, I met up with a handful of dudes that we would always wrestle with each other. It didn't matter which backyard or whose backyard we were in. We were watching wrestling together and whatnot. And that's Alex Corvus and this dude's Spirit, Josh Hogan, and eventually also Billy Ware. And they found RWA through, I don't even know how they found it, but they told me about it because we would always wrestle together, and I was telling them that I wanted to get back into wrestling. So they invited me to RWA. And I think the first show I just watched, it was cool. I think they had mentioned to T that I had wrestled with them before. Um, but the first time I went, I just wanted to go and kind of check it out. And I saw that they had like an actual wrestling ring in their backyard. I'm like, yo, this is cool. I need to learn more from all of this. And at first, T told me no. I wanted to wrestle with them, and T told me no. But they the next week they decided to give me a chance, and they had me go into a storyline with my friend Josh, and we would do the same thing over and over again everywhere we went. and we would have like a tag match or something, and then after the match he turns on me, and then we would fight each other. And it started there at that first tag team match, and it was me and Spirit Josh against Billy Ware and Alex Corvus. And I guess I made a good impression that day because they asked me to come back. And then I started meeting all these other people that wanted to show us all these other things that they learned from other places. And then all these other people started coming in. And then now this guy's coming in. He wants to help train us. And this guy, and now I'm being trained by Brickhouse Baker, and I'm being trained by Jose Perez, and like now I'm doing seminars with guys like Raven, and like I never thought that just showing up would have got me anywhere in wrestling. I was okay with just wrestling my friends, you know. And this place is like, it's taken me to like some of the coolest moments I've ever had in my entire life. I got this is like one of my favorite moments in and out of wrestling or any of that stuff is I got I got to smoke with RVD at a show in like the backstage area, and it was like something I had always been a huge fan of RVD from early ECW and whatnot. And
I think we all smoked with RVD at that show.
oh, oh really? Oh, this isn't a thing. Oh, I was so cool. Like I felt like the coolest dude in the world because I smoked weed with RVD.
I was gonna say, if it was the same show that I'm thinking of, I smoked weed with him earlier in the day.
Oh, for real? What? Well, I'm not as cool, I guess, but I felt
It's still
cool.
cool as fuck. I don't care. That's always a story I
I
pull
smoked
out.
with Sabu too.
All right, you
That
got me
was
there. I
cool.
didn't get that.
Sabu was a cool dude. Yeah, he's fun. um, I'm trying to think of just some of the other moments I've had in wrestling. I've met so many people just kind of backstage, and Matt Striker is probably one of my favorite people to listen to. Anytime he was around, I made sure that I was near enough where I could listen to him and learn from him in any way I possibly could. Um, you meet a lot of really cool people in this business. I think my worst experience by far though is King Kong Bundy. He was my worst experience.
So,
But everybody else so far that I've met has been really awesome.
so going into it, what were some of the biggest unknowns for you?
Oof. Um the all right, so like when my first indie show that I ever did was with a company called ACW, and me and Vincenzo Bruzzi teamed up. And one thing that's always funny is like when you don't know something and your friends know that you don't know that it's not so bad, they'll make it seem like it's gonna be scary and it's gonna be the worst thing, and they'll tell you things like, "Oh, be careful, he's stiff," and then you get there and they're not, and they're just really kind people. But like some of the more unknowns going into like indie wrestling in general is like probably the theatrical stuff, the little things that uh you don't really learn from going through the motions. you kind of learn from like stuff like acting in movies and whatnot. One thing when I was over at XWA with Kingdom Training that Vinny would tell me, Vinny Marseglia, you just go look at some of the horror movies you like and stuff. And at the time, I was doing I was kind of doing the epidemic thing, and I pulled a lot of stuff that I was doing, mannerisms and little things like in the sense of like if I get punched in the face, how am I going to react to it in a way that's different from everybody else? And I even pulled a lot of that stuff from like Roddy Piper. I like the way he would get all shaky and get like riled up when he was getting hit and stuff, and he would like you knew that he was ready to fight. And I love those little things, the little like little things you could do with your body or your face or your facial expressions to like show pain or angst and whatnot, and still continue the rest of what you're doing in a way that makes sense, without ignoring anything that just happened, if that makes any sense to you. And I always love that part of it, the little things that are like they're harder to find, but they're there if you're looking for it.
So, what was a moment early on where you felt that you were maybe out of place or felt like you didn't belong?
Oh, that's all the time. I have anxiety like every day for everything. Very often I just kind of like I shut myself down in ways that I know that I shouldn't, but I get so nervous that I'm gonna mess something up that I like it feels like I'm gonna start forgetting everything that I planned. And that will always like it always drives me crazy, and then I get there and I don't miss a beat and I'm like fine after, but like leading up to it my heart's like jumping, like I feel like I might pass out if I don't drink some water like, and that'll happen more often than not, believe it or not. Like I have like zero confidence.
Well,
unless
when
you put a pair of like ropes in front of me and then I can bounce on them apparently, but
so
I'm like
what
terrified when I do.
pushes you when you get into those headspaces? Like what keeps you going when you're feeling that way?
Oh geez. I mean, Richard Holiday told me once, it just means you care. And that's I mean, not just him, obviously. It's something I kind of hear all the time, but he's the most recent one to remind me that. And staying staying focused is really difficult to do when you're like clouding your own judgment in your head and like driving yourself crazy, I guess. Um, because you're not feeling as confident as you did for whatever reason, or something's happening in your life and it's hard to think past it sometimes. Um, I don't, how do I do it? I hear the music and then I shut it out, I guess. Um, it kind of it kind of leaves you the moment you burst through the curtain. Like the moment I like go through the curtain and I take a look at the crowd and I hear them, I forget that I was nervous at all. And it's such a wild experience. I wish I could explain it in a way that doesn't sound like happy trauma. It's like, yeah, I'm like I'm ready to go. I'm ready to do it. Oh fuck, I'm probably gonna forget all of this, but let's go. The show must go on, right? So like I guess that's just the easiest way to do it, is to just forget about everything, put yourself out there, and let people judge you for your performance, which is kind of how most people book me on their shows, because I never cut promos. I'm awful at them. If I try to cut promos, I stutter and stammer over my own words, and then I forget what the promo's about. And yeah, it's
Well, we're gonna see that later.
hey.
So, who are
Well,
some of the people that helped you stay grounded in the earlier phases?
earlier phases, mostly my peers, guys like the whole Fall River crew, basically all them dudes, the Dirt City Murder crew. Every step of the way they've been there, so we've all kind of like grown together and learned together, and we all learned from different places, and then we'd pick it up and show each other and whatnot. And just kind of having those guys around makes it easier to stay confident in what you're doing. um and I think it has a lot to do with their confidence in what they do. um Guys like Tom Billington, even when we're like fighting on camera, he's still a good friend off camera. T Phoenix, he will always listen whenever I need to talk about anything. uh just kind of anybody that's been around. I kind of just would look to anybody that I've known, anybody that feels comfortable. um just even so much as like when somebody walks up in the back, like you get guys like Will, Coach Will, he'll come up and give me a fist bump right before I go out, sometimes just to give it to me. And sometimes even that is just enough to get through the curtain. And then, the rest is on camera.
So, what's a moment in your career where you felt things didn't go the way that you had hoped?
Oh god. Oh man, this is so embarrassing. You know what? I'm gonna tell it anyways, because I still feel like an asshole for it, even though I was probably partially right. Uh, one time we had it was a round based match, and it was me and Frank Bones at Proving Ground, and the first round was supposed to go a specific way, and I saved everything that I was planning to do that day for the very end of that first round, because that end of that first round would have went into the second round with that much more drama that it would have made it. But things got kind of weird in the chaining, and then the ref or somebody didn't hear that there was a 1 minute mark left there or something, and that's what our cue was supposed to be. So then the next thing we knew, the bell rang, and we just had to separate, and we went into the second round and just did everything that we originally planned. um and that went great. But that first part that would have really made it that much better, especially for me, because it was like the only thing I was doing that day. Uh, it got messed up, and I think I complained a little too much downstairs, and Chase Del Monte was there, and I was kind of embarrassed about it, but I was just upset that it was something so simple as saying, "Hey guys, there's a minute left. Set up for whatever." Okay, thanks. Like it could have been very simple, but something got weird and nobody heard it. And then it messed up the whole rest of the match, and I felt like crap for like 2 weeks. and then I had a pretty decent match, and then I didn't feel like crap anymore.
So, how do you feel you handled that situation mentally?
Awful. I definitely reacted instead of thinking about it first. I still think that if we did it right, it would have been awesome and it would have made the second half that much better. Um, I felt like crap. I felt like I had an opportunity to show people that I could do really cool things with just whatever is given to me. And I like the concept of the match. I thought it was cool. And me and Frank Bones actually have like crazy good chemistry usually. But that one match just got all messed up and I just pooped it up in front of all my friends. And it was just embarrassing, but you learn from it, you push on, and then you do it better next time. And that's just kind of like how I deal with it, I guess. I just I watch the tape back. I watch everything and I try to learn from everything that went wrong, down to the footing or the timing or just anything. And I try to pick things up that way. Uh, I beat myself up a lot mentally, especially when it comes to wrestling. I try I try to be a perfectionist, and then when I don't, I get upset with myself, and I have to keep reminding myself that wrestling isn't always going to be perfect. Some of it looks a little ugly, and that's some of the beauty of it. And that's a Bob Evans thing too, in a way, because one time we took a trip out to North Carolina, me, him, Tim, and a couch, and we delivered that couch to somebody on the way to a PWX show. And the moral of that whole trip was that sometimes the most magical parts of wrestling are the most unmagical moments. And it's just, you just make the best of it. He'll tell you that I put out a fire for Kevin Kelly too, and I think that's hilarious. I mean,
So,
I did. Somebody, it was like Danny Birch put a cigarette out or something, and it set a fire in the thing. Yeah, it was
what is
wild.
a moment from your career where oh, I already asked that question. What is something people don't see about the struggle behind the scenes?
Oh god. Well, they definitely don't see me looking in my mirror sideways to see if my stomach shrunk at all because I rode my bike for 45 minutes a day every day of the week. Like, um, they don't see the amount of like prep you put into the thought process, and like everything that I do is usually stems from some kind of thought I had in my head, like, oh, I wonder if this would work. And then I just kind of put it together in a way that I think would be like really cool and presentable for everybody else to see. And just that prep work alone, like getting set mentally for like what I want to do in a match, and then I'll get to a show, and then the people I'm working with don't want to do the stuff that I want to do, or like things get changed, and it like everything that I had planned goes out the window because now this person's absent, so now we gotta change things around a little bit, and then I just have to like save them in like a notepad or something until I get to use them. And that's kind of a struggle. um I mean, outside of like just body issues, I guess. The pain sometimes is a little bit unnerving. Sometimes my neck grinds in ways that I wish I could fix. um, Sometimes I get like just random pains in my hip or my lower back a lot from taking bumps for the last, I don't know, was it almost 20 years? Uh, just kind of in general, um, wrestling, it's a lot of fun. Getting noticed can be a little bit of a struggle, especially when you're like anxiety ridden like me and you struggle to cut promos and stuff like that. um, I guess people really like promos. I like to think that I'm a better writer. I can write a promo better than I can speak one. Uh, I think I find it a little easier, um, a little more articulated, I guess, when I can write things out. And I feel like a lot of the people that follow me on social media pay more attention to that stuff than they do the small video packages. Um, yeah, so that's always just kind of been part of my thing.
So, what is a small moment from your career that means a lot to you?
I don't know if I've made that moment yet, but I could tell you that working with Ophidian and working with Anthony Green has been two of my most treasured matches so far. Um, I'm sorry, I forgot the question.
A small moment in your career that meant a lot to you.
A small moment in my career that meant a lot to me. I once sat and listened to Ricky the Dragon Steamboat tell me how he started using the arm drag in a random locker room in West Warwick. And that was probably the biggest moment for me that nobody even really knows happened. Um, that's just because the kid in me just thought it was the coolest thing. Um, as far as like me in wrestling, any small moment, you know what? Probably when I moved back home and won the RWA Triple Crown title. That moment was a lot. I probably watched that back like 1,000 times after it happened because that that moment felt so great. I feel like I've been chasing that since.
So, have you ever had a moment where somebody's feedback changed your perspective?
Yes, and recently. Um uh so like I did a show under a gimmick, and it was actually JT Dunn that had given me some advice after the match based on what I did and my performance, and it clicked so well that it it helped me in the ring as me and not the gimmick, and it's going to help that gimmick way more in the future uh because of how well he said it. um and at the time it probably like it could have gone in one ear and out the other, I guess, but it it stuck when he said it because it came from him, and I had never really heard him say something like that to me in a really long time. Uh that's just kind of more like on a personal level, because we don't talk a whole lot anymore. And it really stuck with me in a way that kind of lit a fire under my ass. And he said it was something along the lines of, you could do so many cool things in the ring. What are you doing this for? And it just like it all kind of made sense from there. I'm like, wow, I should probably do some of those cool things I just never do anymore. And I'm just recently starting to kind of get into that habit again. And I've even gone as far as buying an exercise bike and started getting back into better shape. And I kind of owe that one to him, because that's what got me to think about what I'm doing in the ring a little differently. And then in turn, that made me feel like, oh, I should probably have better cardio if I want to do the cool things that I know I can do. So I feel like there's a lot of stuff that nobody's really seen me do yet that I'm just waiting to use. And I'm really excited about it.
So, what would you say is harder, improving or maintaining your level once you do improve?
What do you mean by maintaining my level? Like
So,
staying
as in,
consistent?
yeah.
Um, I don't. I mean, as far as like consistency in the ring, I think it's just as I get older, it's harder to maintain like, breath capacity and stuff like that. And sometimes I get a little blown up. But that's usually if I like haven't been working out and I've just been lazy and eating like crap and whatnot. um
So, would you say maintaining that was harder than just getting the knowledge to get into training and being able to debut and get bookings?
I think I'm still learning how to get bookings. I'm not very good at like messaging promoters, and I don't really like I have a lot of anxiety, like I said, so like I never message anybody. Most of my bookings that I've ever gotten were from like people who saw me and said, "Hey, do you want to do the show?" And usually the answer is going to be yeah if I'm available. Um I've just recently started reaching out to some other promoters. Um, I'd like to try out Focus Pro sometime. Uh, I think there's a couple of spots in New York I'd like to hit before I'm done wrestling too. Yeah, I'd like to do some driving, especially this summer if I can. I wanna kind of branch out, and I think I don't know, like I guess maintaining is harder. Um, but only I don't know. It's confusing for me because like I feel like once I've learned something, you can always just kind of add to whatever you're doing. So and that's something that Jose would always talk about. Like what more can I do to make this look a certain way, or like how to turn my body to make a clothesline look vicious for somebody smaller like me and stuff like that. Learning the spots and like the the motions, I guess, um never really seemed difficult uh to learn, as much as it was just kind of tedious, because it's like the more you do something, the more you get that muscle memory from it, and then you just kind of further that. Like if I'm gonna do anything, I'm gonna learn it at the most basic level, and then I'm gonna learn how to make it better, or how to make it look better, or how to make it look faster, or like just how I'm gonna do it, because everybody else that's also training is also learning those same motions. So if I could do any of that just a little differently to stand out just a little more, then that's kind of half the battle, I guess. Well, at least it's been for me because I'm awful at reaching out to people.
All right.
I'm learning
So
though. I'm learning. I'm trying to learn how to get over that.
So that is all the big beefy questions that I got for you, but now we're heading into the super important ones.
Beefy men, meaty men slapping meat.
So, if you could instantly become an expert at something completely random, what are you picking?
Something completely random, an expert. Oh geez. I would be an expert yo-yo guy. Is
All
that
right.
random enough? I
It's
would be an
very
expert
random.
at devil's. Yeah. I actually used to know how to use devil sticks.
If your personality was a
Yeah,
weather forecast, what would it be?
cloudy with a chance of meatballs.
Confusing and random
I
as
don't.
hell.
Yeah. Uh, Cloudy, partly sunny, partly cloudy.
If you had to swap lives for with a cartoon character for a week, who are you picking and why?
Fry from Futurama, because I feel like he has the most interesting life. Either that or Archer. Probably Archer. That's because he's a maniac. And I like it.
What is something completely useless that you are proud of being good at?
Uh, yeah. Uh,
All right, we
I
can't go
can glow.
there.
I can glow stick. I get like I don't know. Like I could something useless. I feel like half of my talents are already pretty useless. I'm pretty good at video games. I'm not gonna lie.
If
I've
you
always
could
been.
remove one minor inconvenience from the world forever, what would it be?
Oh man, there's so many minor inconveniences. um, how come we gotta buy trash bags just to throw those same bags in the trash?
So you
Right?
figure out a way to not have to have trash bags.
Actually, I have no idea. Dude. I've always just been a guy that deals with minor inconveniences. You know what? I would get rid of traffic. It would make my job way easier.
And what is something about you that people would never guess at first impression?
Oh no. I played percussion for about 10 years and I never tell anybody.
All right. So we have reached the final segment of
Oh no.
this podcast that I like to call promo roulette.
Promo roulette!
All right. So 2 weeks ago, we had Johnny Pierce on Smoke and Meteoras, and the cartoon character that he has picked for you to shoot a promo on is Krusty the Clown from The Simpsons. So whenever you are ready.
I don't know how I'm gonna do this. Hey, Crunchy Krusty, whatever your name is, I'm gonna take a real clown with me to show you that we're not clowning around. And his name is Dank. And he's gonna put you in the ground because he's the better clown. So screw you, Krusty. You look like a lava lamp with hair.
That was probably the funniest burn I've heard of anybody so far.
You know what's hilarious about Krusty the Clown is that if you cut the hair off him, he looks like Homer.
He does.
Yeah.
He just looks like Homer with makeup.
Yeah, Homer is the clown.
All right. So I need a new cartoon character for next week's guest.
Ooh. Cartoon character. Zoidberg.
Zoidberg. All right.
Yeah.
So next week, the person that will be shooting a promo on Mr. Dr. Zoidberg is going to be none other than Chase Del Monte.
Nice.
So we will be back next week with Chase Del Monte at 7 p.m. And thank you again to Sean for joining us this week.
Quick shout out to Dick Lane. You the homie.
Dick Lane was previously on here as well.
Hell yeah.
But with that being said, where can we find you on social media? Where can we keep up with you? And if we're in your area, where can we see you next?
Let's see. Next show, I'm at NRG. Me and Dick Lane are teaming as the Metahuman Magic show this weekend in New Bedford against Above All for the NRG tag belts. Next week at RWA, you can find me against Mike Montero. That just got announced. I'm looking forward to that one because we've never wrestled at RWA before. And you can follow me on my social media at Instagram is Take Me to Your Leader, Leiter, and my Twitter is This Is Sean L. You can find me on Facebook at my name spelled out right there. And I add most people unless you're a bot or something like that, and then I probably just leave you in purgatory.
Alrighty. Well, thank you again for joining us this week, Sean.
Hell
with
yeah.
that being said, we will be back next week with Chase Del Monte. And we are still taking pre-orders for our merch. We have t-shirts and hoodies available. You can message me for any of those. And with that being said, thank you all for joining at home, and we will be back next week.
Yeah, Chase, book me on your show. I love you.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining. We will be back next week. Have a great night.